It's been doing well there also. I think the publishing house suddenly wants to print it out with different covers now. So that was something that I was not very sure about, but they were very keen that initially I'd insisted that I don't want the book to have my face on top. I said I want the content to be the king, not my face and whatever. So they've done certain amount of reprints have come out with that, and now they're saying, see, we've done everything that you wanted, but now we want your face on the cover. So now they've launched the different cover. But touch wood, the point being that the book is done well, and which is lovely. You think I should do that?
You've been a Tollywood heroine, so
yeah.
you have so many.
So maybe I'll tell my and if you know any publishers, tell them that let's discuss it. I think the fact that I'm not preaching anything, what I have done, what the book, I've been very very clear about the fact that parenting is a very very individual and a personal thing. Even between your first child and your second child, two children can be so different. You can't really copy paste your way of parenting even there. So you can definitely not say about different families. Support systems are different, family setups are different. So what I've tried to do is have the situation and explain how I dealt with it. And in that, I think a lot of times, because I found a lot of my answers from reading about how people dealt with certain situations in life. And parenting is really not so different from life in that sense. So I've actually put together various things that, and what were the questions in my mind, and how did I arrive at a particular conclusion. And I think the journey of how I arrived at that conclusion is what is the key point of that book. I've always been a reader, yes. In fact, I remember when I used to come here to Hyderabad to shoot for my films, half my suitcase used to have books in it, because you came for long schedules, and literally a small, if there was not enough place, there was literally one more suitcase coming in of books, because I read all sorts of genres. So there were days when you want to research something, and sometimes I wanted to skip and go to something else also. So I had this whole, literally a mini library that used to travel with me, which now has become so much easier because you just do one Kindle and everything is there on it. So technology has its advantages. So I've always been a reader, and for me, I come from a very, very humble and basic background, and for me, my worldview has always been through books. As a child, yes, I did travel in the sense because my father was in a government job, so we moved from place to place. So every 2 years I was in a different city, and hence for me, you make new friends, but books have been the constant companions. So I did get drawn towards them, and I would stick to them. But other than that, it's not, I think the first plane ride that I took was when I started working. So for me, that worldview kind of books gave me a peep into this different worlds, and, kind of broadened my horizons. And I really feel that education is great, but the kind of education reading provides you is really different and phenomenal, and I think more applicable in life. So that was the thing. So for me, my whole thing was about, maybe at the most I would own a library, would be the dream. Never really thought I would be an author. Every time I see a book somewhere in the bookstore and see my name on it, I'm still like surprised by it, happy surprise, but it still hasn't sunk in still. My publisher is very keen that I do one more book. I have an idea, but writing takes so much of discipline that just to get yourself down to do it, I don't know when I'm going to kind of put in that sort of time and actually sit down and do it. But I think maybe I will do. Yes, but Twinkle I think is a fabulous writer. But we write very different things, and I think more than anything else, it's about what you read and everything, and it's very different, and different topics, and it's lovely. What I really always felt was that at some point when all of us, we were actresses, nobody really even got into that side of us. Nobody was interested in knowing if we do have any sort of thoughts in our head actually beyond certain superficial things. So in a way, it's so nice that, it just goes, it has always been somewhere. When we used to be actors, it was always like, okay, all you need to do is look good and, shake your hip a bit and you're an actor. What's the big deal? It's not that. There is more to it. And obviously, all these women who have been actors, there's certain brain and there's a certain thought process, and it's lovely to see that coming out. So in that sense, I like it. It's unfair and not at all possible. I think once you fall in love, you're just looking for that one more book. Now I've started my book club just for that one more book. Yeah, so now every time I finish the discussion, I give that one more book. and try and make it a book which I have not read, so that I'm reading it. And it's just, the point is to, the moment I give out a date for the discussion of the book, then I have to read it and I have to complete the book in that much time. So, you've been after my child, it has been, how it gets, you don't want, the very heavy reading doesn't happen because you're always looking for that time. And it's again, you kind of stop giving up on that. Everything is so condensed and you get all the news anyway and everything is right there and the opinions are there. You start taking the shortcut. So I just wanted to go back to the habit of reading. Yes, there is. But I wanted to formulate much more but it's definitely not going to be fiction. That's not, I'm not very sure about fiction yet. Yes, I've had some really wonderful memories here. I've done some wonderful films here and met very, very nice people. I think the best part about doing Telugu movies was that I think I've never met anybody more soft-spoken than, Telugu people, and that was the most beautiful part of it. They were always so gentle. So it was a pleasure to come and shoot. Though, for me, outdoors used to be always away from home, away from my comfort zone, but I always looked forward to coming here because the unit was so lovely and warm and, like I said, very gentle. So it was nice for me. I'm not a very aggressive person, so I like the gentleness. Yeah, so I'm wondering why an organization which is so amazing has never called me before this. I'm really wondering, and then when I came here today, I realized I'm not the one busy. I think Ficci, guys have so many people to call that they've never called me before. But when they call and when I see it, they do so much of amazing work and there's so much of thought that goes into it and planning. It's like amazing. It's like a full corporate running, with the branches and the divisions and the, what do you call it? There is the head of the department, literally, as we say in the thing. It's so beautifully organized and so much work gets done. So I've just been wondering, why was I not called before? I'm really looking forward to it because anything where women put in a certain amount of effort and do something is very, very constructive. And I'm so happy to be part of that because I always find that there's a lot of constructive activity that women can put in because there's empathy and there's a certain amount of thought that goes into things and, which is nurturing. So I'm so glad to be here and I hope I can be here many more times. Not just now, probably towards the end of the year, but I'm not sure. I'm enjoying myself too much, so I'm not really thinking of that, not yet ready for